So yesterday we saw how to install RHEL 7 and Ubuntu operating systems, right? Okay. So we'll see today CentOS, 6 version. 6. Okay. Now create another virtual machine. For that, enter name. So Linux type Red Hat 64 or 32-bit we can choose. So that is depends on the version you downloaded from internet. So your operating system available 32-bit and 64-bit versions. So which version you downloaded, we have to choose that. Okay. But RHEL 7 not comes with 32-bit version, only available 64-bit version. RAM size. So here, just follow the same steps. So no need to change any settings here. So here, as per requirement, you have to choose a storage device size, 8 GB, 16 GB, or 32. Virtual machine is ready. Now, install operating system on top of that. Double click on that, so automatically machine will be powered on. Or right click. Right click. There is a start button, right? We can start. Or directly we can click on this. It won't show here. Double click. That's it. See. Devices, optical drives. 6.9. Okay. Now go to machine. Click on reset. So reset in the sense reboot the machine. So there's an installation screen. So here it shows a few options, right? Install or upgrade an existing system. Install system with basic video driver. Rescue install system. Boot from local drive, like memory test. See, we have to install new version, or if you want to upgrade existing version to new version, we can choose this option. Okay. So when you choose this, so very basic operating system will be installed, and graphics drivers also will be installed. Okay. So rescue installed system, if something went wrong at your mission end, okay, your operating system won't boot up. So some might be your file system corrupted. So you want to take backup whatever the files inside that, or you want to recover the file system. So we can enter into this mode. So also known as emergency mode. Okay. So we'll see that in troubleshooting. Okay. Enter now. Select the first option. Pardon? So CentOS is not a recent one, the previous version. CentOS 7 is the latest one. Skip this. So here it is asking to test the installation media. So no need to test the installation media. Already we downloaded ISO image, right? New one. If you select it, it takes a lot of time, at least 1 hour to go checking. See. Here we have a screen. Now click on next to proceed to install. So we have a shortcut key Alt-N. Okay. See here it shows capital letter in N, right? Just use Alt and the capital letter. That is a shortcut. Okay. So instead of clicking on that, Alt-N to next. Now select the language and keyboard type. So language English, Alt-N, and keyboard also. Keyboard system selection, Alt-N. Now here we have to choose storage devices, where you want to install your operating system, on your local storage or centralized storages like SAN. So here it shows, right? Install upgrade to enterprise devices such as storage area networks. So what it is, we'll see in disk management. I'll tell you. So basic storage devices, which comes with your hardware. We created virtual machine with so 1 GB RAM and allotted 8 GB storage, right? So then when you choose this, operating system will be installed on 8 GB storage. Now Alt N. So S discard any data. Now set host name. Using this host name, we can identify our machine in the network. Alt N to next. Now select the time zone. Enter root password. So to log in as root, so we have to create a password for that. By default, user account will be created. No need to create. Okay. So account name is root. For that, we have to set password. The same password policies we have to follow. Okay. Minimum 8 characters recommended. Minimum 8 characters recommended, but it allows 5 characters to create password. Recommended 8. It should be include one uppercase, numeric, and special character. So you have provided a weak password. It is too based on your dictionary word. So if you want to create a critical one, so then cancel. If you want to proceed, use anyway. Just remove this. Okay. So here it shows which type of installation would you like? Use all space, so replace existing Linux system, shrink current system, use free space, create custom layout. That means hardware selection, storage selection. So when you choose the first option, so it will do like, is there any existing partition on your storage device? First it will remove that, then it automatically create a new partitions on that. That means you select entire storage device. So when you choose this replace existing Linux system, is there any Linux operating system already on any storage device? Only those partitions will be removed and new partitions will be created instead of that. See, shrink the current system. So is there any existing operating system? If there is no free space available for to create a new partitions. See, from existing partitions, some amount of storage space will be shrinked. Okay, if you have a 100 GB, 200 GB partition, existing partitions, there is no free space to create a new partition in your storage device. From any one storage partition, 100 or 200, some amount of storage space will be shrinked. So then it will create a partitions. Use free space. Is there any free space available on your storage? Only that free space will be selected and will start installation. See, the last one is create custom layout. As per requirement, we can create partitions manually. So the above 4 are by default automatically partitions will be created. So how many partitions are required? For each partition, how much storage space is required? Automatically operating system itself it allocates. See, select the last option. We'll see how to create partitions here. Alt N. So you have a storage device with 8 GB, right? Right. Now click on create. So here it shows standard partition, create software RAID partitions, create LVM physical volumes like. So we'll see RAID LVM in disk management. Okay, create a standard partition now. Now select the mount points. So how many partitions are recommended to install operating system? 3. So root, boot, swap. So at least one partition is required, that is root partition. Without root partition, we can't install Linux operating system. Select the boot one. And here, what is the default file system? ext4. In 7, XFS. So 6 also supports XFS, but the default one is ext4. Now allocate size in MBs, 200 MB or 400 MB. So 400 MB is enough. Created. Storage device name, partition 1 on it. Okay, SDA1 created with 400 MB size. Create another one. Select swap. See, we have to choose swap here in the file system. There is no mount point for that. Okay. Swap. How to create swap? Based on our physical memory. How much physical memory is available? Physical memory in the sense RAM. So you have only 1 GB. So based on the calculation, if you have a 1 GB, 1 into 2. That means 2 GB swap partition we have to create. So you have a 2 GB RAM, 2 into 2, 4 GB. You have 3 GB RAM, 3 plus 2, 5 GB storage partition. You have 5 GB, 5 plus 2, 7 GB like. Now we have only 1 GB, right? For that we have to create 2 GB storage partition, swap partition, 2048 MB equals to 2 GB. Created. So if you want to allocate entire available entire space for root partition, we can. Now select the root and create. See, we can enter as per requirement how much storage space required, or we can use allowable size to this one. Fill to maximum allowable size. How much storage space is available? That much will be allocated to root. Successfully we created, right? So here also we can create partitions with our own mount points. So here it shows the default mount point names, right? These mount point names comes with your file system structure. Instead of this, as per requirement, we can create our own mount points like data, backup, or your application name. Then size, storage partition size, we can specify. See, this is for your application storage. Swap, yes. Yeah, we can. Single also. So, but this file system, boot and swap also comes under root also, root only, root file system only. Root only, root only. So if you want to create a dedicated partition for a particular purpose, particular file system, we can. Right? See now, click on next. Alt N. Okay. See, then format. Now write changes to disk. So creating file system on newly created partitions. So this is a bootloader name. Okay, your bootloader will be installed on your storage device SDA. So what is bootloader? We'll see. See, bootloader is nothing but a small boot program which loads your operating system at boot time. It's a software program. So there is a process when power on the machine. After a few minutes, you'll get a login screen, right? Behind that, there is some stages. So we'll see that later. Now here we can choose environment, based environments. Desktop, minimal, same like yesterday we selected, right? As per requirement, it shows in minimal, infrastructure, compute node, server with GUI, virtual host like. So here also it shows some basic environment. See, based on that, you'll get some packages will be installed. So when you choose first option desktop, you'll get a desktop version. Graphical user interface, by default GNOME desktop environment will be installed, and some compile tools, browsers, players, additional editors will be installed. Okay, and minimal in the sense whatever the packages required, services required to get the graphical user interface, only those kind of services will be installed. So if you want more than that, we can install after installation of operating system. Is it required? Okay. And then the minimal one. So when you choose minimal one, so you'll get the very basic operating system without GUI. Without GUI. So basic server also. When you choose basic server, you'll get the basic services related commands will be installed. So we can manage services, we can watch the services activity. There are server related tools will be installed, debugging tools. So database server, when you choose this along with your operating system, one default database server service will be installed. So here MySQL database will be installed. Like web server also, when you choose this along with operating system, one web server will be installed. So the name is here Apache. So Apache web server will be installed. Like virtual host, so host based virtualization, KVM virtual software will be installed. Okay, and the last one is software development workstation. So it depends on requirement. So your interest. So basically, everyone will choose a basic server. So as per requirement, we can install our application softwares. So no need to install unwanted softwares, right? So for that, we have to choose basic server. So then, as per requirement, so whatever the software packages you want to install and enable the port numbers, services. Right. So this is for software development workstation. When you want to use this machine for as a software development workstation, so when you choose this along with operating system, so a lot of tools will be installed. So whatever the tools are required for to create applications. So might be Java related software packages or PHP and libraries, compilers, everything. Okay. So now select the minimal desktop. We'll see. Here we have another options here. Repositories. See, we can choose, get updates. We have internet connection automatically. During the installation process, the information will be communicated with repositories. Is there any updated packages? Automatically download and install. See what is repository server? We'll see in the package management. So how to configure our own repository server. See, here we have two methods: customize later, customize now. Along with add-on, this one, the base environment, you want to install any add-ons. That means application softwares or desktop environments, any compiler tools, server services related tools. We can choose customize now. Alt N. See, choose right. Applications. If you want to install applications along with operating system, you can choose any applications. Base system. Performance tools. If you want networking tools, Perl support. So this all. We have add-ons. We can use and databases. Which database you want to install along with operating system. Desktop environments. So here we have Genome and KDE desktop environments. The default desktop environment is Genome. Okay. If you want KDE, we can use it. So development. So tools, Eclipse and development tools. If you want to install along with operating system, choose this add-on. High availabilities, languages, load balancers. Okay, what is load balancer? We'll see in web server class. Servers. Along with operating system, which server service you want to install? We can choose CIFS. So CIFS is a file sharing server. So if you want to share files between different operating systems, for that we have to install one service called Samba. So it's also known as CIFS file server. Okay, so for that we have to install packages. If you want to configure this box as a centralized, shared server, then install this package along with that. Or after installation, we can install. So we have a tools to install software packages. System management, virtualization, and web server services. So it depends on requirement. So if you want to install any add-ons along with operating system, we can choose from here. Altian. Starting installation process. See now we have to wait. 982 packages need to be installed. So yesterday we selected infrastructure server, around 400 plus packages installed. See, but thing is not required graphical user interface in server environment in real time. So only it required for development purpose. Okay, so not recommended. So even though you installed a server with GUI, we have to start a server at non-graphical user interface. That means we have a different run levels. So based on run level, you'll get a graphical user interface or non-GUI. Okay, so when you start operating system with the GUI related services will consume memory resources, right? So instead of that, we can start operating system at different run level, then automatically GUI related services will be stopped. So when it required, we can wake up. So this is how to install CentOS 6 or RHEL 6 also, Red Hat Enterprise Linux 6 also, the same process. Okay, Oracle Enterprise Linux also. So if you want to see CentOS 7, yesterday we saw RHEL 7, right? CentOS 7, we'll see now. 8 GB. See here, already once a virtual machine is running, an operating system is installing, right? Again, we started to create another virtual machine to install. So with the help of virtualization, we can start multiple tasks at a time on single hardware, right? So now, power on this machine. So if you want to install both operating system on same hardware, single hardware, first we have to install first one, then second one. Again, we can't start both operating system at a time, but here we can install parallelly, we can start parallelly. CentOS 7 is also a Linux. Enter. So skip this step by using escape key. So here it is checking the ISO image, the installation media. Starting installer it shows, right? In Linux, there is an installer name called Anaconda. So Anaconda is the installer name. In Windows, Windows installer is the installer name. So this installer, so we'll check the compatibility. See, when you're trying to install any package, software packages after installation of operating system, might be a 32-bit operating system or 64-bit. We'll check the compatibility. So is this package is related to this architecture or not? So if both our architectures are same, then it allows us to install. So when you're trying to install a 64-bit version software package on 32-bit operating system, it won't accept. but we can install 32-bit architecture package on 64-bit operating system. Okay, so your installer will take care about that. So whether the package is compatible with this hardware or your operating system version and its architecture. The same process, select the language, hold C to continue. Right. Select the date and time zone. Click on done. So keyboard language support, if you want to modify, we can modify. Okay. So installation source, already we selected local installation, maybe ISO image. So if you have a network kickstart server, we can install operating system from network also. But in 6, we have to enter the path. Here by default it shows the path to enter, so we have to choose that option. So during the installation process, there will be no cross button. Pardon? There will be no cross button. No, there is no button like. See, so now installation destination, where you want to install your operating system. Here it shows software selection, KD, KDump, security policy, network and host name. Okay, so first choose the software selection. Manual install, compute node, infrastructure. So based on the base environment, so now number of application softwares will be installed. Number of application softwares will be installed. So based on your requirement, choose any one. But the recommended one is infrastructure server, as my point of view. So basically it comes with not only operating system, so all advanced tools will be installed along with your server. Okay, if you want to use a graphical user interface, then select server with GUI or GNOME or KDE Plasma Workspaces. If you want graphical user interface, this one also. See, along with this, if you want to install any add-ons, you can choose from right side. Virtualizations, web server, basic web server, along with web server. You want to install any tools to configure, like load balancers, okay, hardware monitoring utilities, network file system clients, right. Select the server with GUI. We'll see. Okay, installation destination. So local storage or network storage. So if you have a network storage, click on this. Now we have to add here SAN devices information. Okay, your storage team will provide a one LAN name with a specified size. We have to specify a SAN server address and LAN name. Then your operating system will be installed on your centralized storage. Okay. See, create partitions automatically or manually. Choose them. Alt D. Now create a partition. Here we have a types, device type standard partitions, BTRFS, LVM, LVM provisioning. Yesterday also it shows same thing, right? RHL7. Okay, both comes with the same option. Select the standard partitions. Now click on plus to create a new partition. Select the mount points, boot, and allocate space for that. 400 MB. Added mount point. So mount point is a name to access storage partitions from user space. User can't directly communicate with any hardware. So here we created a storage partition to store data into that. To access that, required a one name from user space. For that we have allotted boot /boot. Create another partition. Swap the based on RAM physical memory 2 GB 2048. Now create a root partition. If not specified any value, automatically select the entire remaining storage space. Okay, for this partition. Create it. That's it. So next, click on done. Accept changes. Once you accept, so it shows begin installation. Then once you start the installation, automatically file system will be created on newly created partitions, XFS and swap file system. Okay, done. So this is a kernel crash dump mechanism. So not required here. Disable. Set enable network to add this machine to a network. Then set hostname. Apply. Okay, so here we can configure IP addresses and network things. When you click on this, it shows. Okay, we'll see this part in networking. Right now, click on begin installation for Alt B. Started. So creating file system on newly created partitions here. Starting packages installation process. Now it shows more than 400 packages because we selected server with GUI. Around 1200 packages will be installed now. Set root password. While installing, yes, linked it. Here we selected now. Yeah, in real time not required. So even though we can install, so not, when it required, we can wake up. So we can start operating system at different levels, right? So we have a option. So we can start operating system without GUI, with GUI. Yeah, it takes storage also. Yes, that is depends on the client requirement. If he asked it, so both environments we have to install. So now set password.
Suresh, I have a question.
Yep.
Yeah, can we edit these parameters after the installation?
Which parameters?
Is it possible? I mean, what are we? I mean, boot and
no, we can't. We can't.
No,
after that, after installation, we can't modify those settings because
okay then.
Because these partitions are standard partitions. So if you want, there is another concept LVM. So we have to create a LVM enabled partitions. Then we can extend and we can reduce partitions on demand.
Okay.
So we'll see that part in disk management. I'll tell you that.
Okay then. Thank you.
So create user account. If you want to make this user as admin, we can. See, it shows 1200 plus packages, right? So yeah, almost is done. So like we can install any operating system. So not only Linux, so we can install any operating system on top of virtualization. It's not only Linux. We can install Windows, we can install Mac, any kind of operating systems on top of virtual software. See here we have a different flavors, right? Linux. So Linux comes from Unix. Okay, so there are different flavors like Red Hat, Fedora, CentOS, Debian, SUSE, Mandrake, Oracle, Enterprise Linux, that means OEL, Ubuntu. There are different operating systems. Number of hundreds of open source operating systems are available, Linux operating systems. Mint, Kali Linux, like, okay. See, but the most popular one and reliable one is Red Hat and Oracle Linux, Ubuntu, Fedora, CentOS. These are all, okay, server environment operating systems. Okay. Yeah, now here it is installing bootloader. Okay, installation completed. Click on reboot or Alt R. Sorry, Alt T. Okay, so this is a boot menu. So when you press spacebar key, it shows available bootloader names. Say when you install more than one operating system on same hardware, that means same virtual machine, like dual booting. So it shows both operating system names, bootloader names. Okay, so we can choose any one. By default, one operating system will be loaded, that is primary bootloader. So if you want to use second operating system, so we have to choose from here, boot menu. So now click on forward After installation, CentOS 6, we have to accept license agreement. Yes, forward. And if you want to create a user account, we can create. Without creating user accounts, we can proceed. Okay. If you want, you can. Just click on forward. So here it is asking the chosen password is too big. So if you want to proceed, yes. Now date and time, we can synchronize. Okay, we have an NTP server, so we can synchronize date and time zone. Okay. Okay, finish. Got it? After installation, you'll get a screen like this. When you install server with GUI. Now we can choose usernames. Okay, whatever the users listed here, we can choose any one user account to log in as. So if there is no users listed here, then click on others, enter username. Root. It says don't log in as root directly. So log in as normal user account, then switch from that. It says. Okay. So this is the desktop environment. So my computer, root home trash. That means user home directory, root's home. We logged in as root, right? Root user account, root user home directory. I click on this, it shows whatever the files under. So if you want to see the file system, that means what is the structure here installed and your program files locations. Once you click, you'll get a directories like. So here we call directories in Windows folders, right? So every directory it contains some specific configuration files. So bin, boot, dev, etc. These directories comes under your root file system. Root file system. So to run the commands, so we have a terminal. What applications? Think it. Yeah. Click on terminal. You'll get a terminal Windows. Now we can run commands from here in graphical user interface. Okay. Sometimes, when you install server with GUI, in full desktop environment, once you right click on this, it shows by default here, open in terminal. But we selected the minimal desktop, right? That's when it shows. See, so if you want to configure network, or if you want to change anything settings, you'll get applications, right? We can choose like start in Windows. Okay, browsers, applications, anything. File management, if you want to change settings. So like we can modify, we can install applications using graphical user interface also. But the very easy thing is to install anything or to manage, to set, to create from command line. It's very easy. Okay, instead of using graphical user interface. With single command, we can do a lot of things. So if you want to do the same task using from graphical application windows, it takes a lot of time. You have to next select, choose options. It shows different options, right? So here it shows network. If you want to enable network, we can create device, network interface device. We can enable. This is how to install Red Hat 6 or CentOS 6. with graphical user interface. Without graphical interface, you will get non-GUI mode, CLI. That's it. To shut down this, you can shut down. So automatically services will be stopped. Right? Virtual machine, stop. If you want to power on, we can power on again. So yesterday we installed these two also. If you want to power on all these machines to run up some application on top of that, we can start. So depends on your physical memory. We have to install virtual machines. So you have only 8 GB when you start. So more than 4 virtual machines. Okay. So I didn't get any that much of good performance. So when you request for something, it takes a lot of time to respond your virtual machines. Okay. So for that, we have to buy a good hardware. So before going to create virtual machines on top of virtual software, first we have to buy a good hardware with good configuration, then install virtual software, create virtual machines. So you have AWS, right? Web services. So the cloud environment. So behind there is a virtualization technique, right? Without virtualization, there is no cloud. Like Zen or KVM or VMware, anyone virtual software, then you have to use. So when you create a virtual machine in cloud environment, automatically virtual machine will be ready within 2 minutes. How you will get that? There is a behind process like virtualization. Okay, we'll see now. See, so have you heard the open source or open source? Open source. What is open source? It's free. Yes. So open source. So there is an open source group. So we can download the source code from internet. We can customize. So as per our thoughts, we can give a name for that. Like here also. So after Unix, so there is a team started one open source group. Okay, so like-minded people started building the new operating systems with the new kernels and new features with free of cost. Okay, see, if you want to modify something, if you have a new thoughts, you can download the source code, then modify the inbuilt, build a new feature into that, give a name for that, then your name Linux or like. So these are all the Linux flavors comes like this: Red Hat, CentOS, Oracle Linux, Ubuntu, SUSE, Kali, Bharat Linux. There are Mint. There are different operating systems out there. See, basically, when you install operating system itself, it comes with 80% of source code. Here install, right? Yeah, we can customize almost all operations. So kernel level also, if you know very well. If you understand the process, so how to modify. Once you modify like this, you'll get this kind of output. If you know very well, we can customize. Only we have to request for 20% of source code to open source group. First for that, we have to subscribe. So we have to request. See, I'm going to introduce a new feature in this. So I want a source code like. Okay, so they'll give a one document. We have to satisfy those. Then only they'll provide the source code. Okay, see, and your operating system itself is like a search engine. So it comes with a lot of help pages for every command. For every command, there is a help pages. So no need to search for the information into Google. So if you know the command, you don't know the options, how to run. When you specify your option with this command, so what is the result? You don't know. There is a help pages related to a command. So we have a help, info, man commands. Using this command, you'll get the information about any command. We can easily run, right? See, this is a console. Once you enter username, oh sorry, just so logged in, right? Successfully logged in. See, after installation, if you want to see the system information, or else somebody install this, you are the new guy to manage this server. Also that guy, okay. So you want to see that architecture, operating system version, operating system information, kernel and hardware, RAM, everything. See, how do we find out those information? So there is a simple command. We have a uname, and there is an option with that -a. Once again, we'll see all these commands. Okay, so don't worry, just listen. Just simple. So, but in Windows, so we have to right click on my computer, properties, then you will get, right, uname. See, first option, first field, it shows the name of the kernel, Linux. The second field, web server, is a host name. Third field is a kernel version. See, and its architecture. Okay, the kernel, what is EL7 here? Enterprise Linux 7. The kernel 3.0 introduced it from 7 only. Okay, 3.0 kernel version is not available in 6. The default kernel version in 6 is 2.6. Here in 7, 3.6. Okay, and this one is the release date, kernel release date, SMP MON Monday May 15th. It shows, right, 2014 kernel release date, and x86_64. These are all your hardware type, operating system type, processor type. That means architecture, 64-bit or 32-bit, or 64-bit operating system, 64-bit processors, hardware. And the last one is your operating system name, GNU or Linux, GNU or Linux. So we can see that individual information. If you want to see only kernel information, we have a option, kernel version. Okay, like yes, it shows, sorry, kernel name, V, kernel release date. So if you want to see operating system name, O, N, node name or host name, both are same, web server, like various options. So basically, to run commands on from shell prompt, so there is a structure, the default syntax: command name, options, arguments. So here arguments are nothing but file names or directories. File names or directory names. Sometimes required arguments, sometimes not required. So we can run command without options and arguments. Sometimes required options and arguments. Depends on the situation. So we can use along with command options and arguments. Like we can run any command. See, so there is a file we have. What is cat? We'll see. Red hat -release. So there is a config file. So when you read this, it shows which version of operating system is installed. It contains that information. Red Hat Enterprise Linux Server release 7.0, and the name of that MIPO. So for every version, like your Android, right? Lollipop, Jelly Beans, like here also. So for every version and every release, so they'll give him a small name. Okay, so here cat is a command to read files, to create files. So how to create, how to read files, we'll see once again. Okay, and your so we have a free command also. So if you want to see that memory size, RAM memory, swap memory, with simple commands. But in graphical user interface, so we have to search for the applications. Okay, so then only you'll get information. But from shell prompt, just run a single command, you'll get a different details as per requirement. That depends on options. Okay. See, if you want to install Linux operating system, we can download from internet, right? It's free of cost. Now we'll see the differences between other operating systems and Linux. So it's an open source, everyone knows, that means free of cost. We can download freely from internet, we can install and we can use it, right? So, and like Windows and Mac, we have to buy a license to install the operating system. But the thing is, it comes with enhanced security features. It gives good performance than Windows also. Yes, Red Hat, not only Red Hat, any Linux operating system. Any Linux operating system. So the reason is like, so when you install Windows Server on your same hardware configuration, so it gives low performance. When you install on same hardware configuration Linux operating systems, like either Linux, Red Hat or CentOS, Ubuntu, anything, it gives high performance. So the reason is your operating system, Windows operating system itself, it consumes more memory resources. Whatever the services required to start your Windows operating system, those services will consume more memory resources. But here, how much memory is required? So which processes are required? Only those processes will be started, okay, independently, right? So that is the main reason, one thing, and it comes with enhanced security features than Windows. Like we have here IP tables, or in 7, the name is Firewall D, and SE Linux, Security Enhanced Linux, and TCP wrappers. So even though if you don't have any physical firewall, we can configure a secure server with the help of these three software firewalls. So if you know very well IP tables or firewalls, SE Linux and TCP wrappers. So with the help of these, so we can deny network services over the network. So if you want to allow a particular host to access, we can allow. If you want to allow a particular network, we can allow. We can deny the rest of the world with the help of TCP wrappers and SE Linux. So once you enable SE Linux service on your operating system, by default SE Linux context will be enabled on any service running under operating system. Okay, config files. See, when you allow a user to access a particular service over the network, if that guy is trying to write something into the directory or a file, it won't accept. It will deny. We have to enable a security feature. Then only it allows. Once you enable, so then the communication between the client, I mean end user and your machine server will be secure. So data is not received and transferred in plain text format. See, like IP tables, we can drop unwanted requests we can reject. So we can block unwanted ports. We can open particular ports. See whatever the services you want to allow to access from outside, whatever the request you want to allow from outside to your inbox, we can do that with IP tables. Okay, and when you compare with Linux in Windows, so there is the architecture also is different. Kernel also is different. So there are kernel types. So monolithic kernel, microkernel, and hybrid kernels. There are different types. See, your Linux operating system kernel type is monolithic kernel, right? Windows operating system kernel type is microkernel. See, every service, whatever the service is started after installation of your Linux operating system, or when you install your new services, every service will be running under kernel space only. So your core part of the operating system is nothing but a kernel. Yeah, I'll tell you that. Okay, so this is the one difference, and the file system also. So our Windows file system is NTFS, the file system structure. Okay, and here we have it various file systems, ext, xfs, it supports. The way of organizing the file system, the structure is also different. The remaining things as usual, open source, free of cost. Okay, these three are the main differences between Windows and Linux. Not required any antivirus here. Yeah, one more thing, virus free. So because here everything it treats like a file, even though if it is a device or a executable, it treats like a one file. But when coming to Macintosh, okay, we have a, but here also there is a antiviruses, but not required. Okay, so now, yeah, Mac also using a Linux kernel, right? So these are all the differences basically when you compare with other operating systems, right? And reliable and secure. So when you compare with other operating systems, see almost 70% applications and database servers running on Linux only. So either Red Hat Linux or CentOS or Ubuntu, any other. Okay. So web servers also almost 70% occupied. Okay. Let's see now. Is that completed? Yeah. So performing both. Okay. It takes time. Structure is like this. So hardware on top of hardware, once you install operating system, so you'll get a structure like this. So user can't directly communicate with hardware. So required a interpreter. That means interface. Your kernel acts like an interface between user and hardware. See, again, user can't directly communicate with your kernel. See, kernel is nothing but a core part of the operating system, which allows us to manage the hardware things, and we can install application softwares. We can manage those. Right? User can directly communicate with again kernel. Here required another interpreter or interface called shell. So here the default shell name is bash, which provides an environment for user to run various commands to install, to manage services, right? See, so your default shell is bash, is the most popular shell. Along with bash, there are the C shell, K shell, different types of shell available, but the default shell is bash. Shell is an interpreter between user and kernel. Okay, so kernel hardware. So when you run commands at terminal, like for example date, so shell takes that request. Shell takes that request, it converts into kernel level language and it processes to it. So kernel takes that request, it processes to hardware. Then again collects information from hardware, kernel. So it processes to shell, shell process to output screen, std out, standard output screen. So you get the result. It prints anything, either successful message or error message or warnings, right? This is a process. So your operating system means, kernel, it comes with hundreds of system calls. Okay, so with the help of those, we can manage. The major functionality of your kernel is process management, memory management, file management, disk management, IO management, job scheduling. Process management, memory management, file management, disk, IO, and job scheduling. Okay, these are all the major functionalities of your kernel. So kernel is nothing but operating system. See, when you run a command at terminal, your operating system creates a new process. Your operating system creates a new process. It allocates some memory resources. So memory resources in the sense RAM and CPU resources and storage resources. Automatically it will allocate how much memory required to start a new process. Yes, that much memory it allocates, and CPU and storage also it allocates. See, so kernel will maintain that information into a table, process table. We have a process table at kernel level. Okay, see, at the same time, once it creates a process, it allots one ID for that. With the help of that ID, we can see that particular process information. We can identify. So process identification number, PIDs. By default, it allocates one PIDs. See, it maintains information like the process owned by which user. That means the process started by which user account, and process started on which terminal, and CPU usage, memory usage, and disk usage. Everything, same information will be stored in process table. So by using the process ID, we can see that process information. We can kill process, so we can change process priorities, existing process. So we have a process management concept. We'll see that. So how to start a process, how to kill, how to give a highest priority for a particular process. Once you give a highest priority, automatically your operating system will allocate more CPU and memory resources for that. Okay. So then file management, the file system. So how it will organize. So it maintains every file information, the structure, and disks. So how to manage storage devices, optical drives, flash drives, and IO. So network interface, network statistics. So inbound and outbound traffic, and IO read and writes on storage also. So we have various tools. When you run the tools, okay, it shows your hard disk statistics like health statistics. Okay, so per second, so how much data writing into the storage device per second, how much data accessing from that drive. So we'll get the statistics when you run a tools. So we have a various commands here, and job schedulers to automate a particular task periodically. So there are different job schedulers available, operating system. So it'll automate some tasks So we can see that automated tasks information after that. So we have commands. Okay, so these are all the major functionalities of your kernel. Shell is like an interpreter between user and kernel, right? So reboot the machine.
Yeah, Suresh, your voice is not audible. And
That's it. Okay, so once you right click, open in terminal, you'll get a terminal window. We can run commands from here. Or if you want to browse our file system graphically, we can home directory. So my computer. Okay, browse network, connect to servers, trash, videos, pictures. These are all default directories. Right. So if you want to see any applications, we can use from here. Tools, system tools. If you want to update software packages, we can update from here. If you want to monitor operating system, click on this. So it shows process running and CPU utilization, memory utilization, the priority, everything it shows. Like task manager in Windows, task manager here, the name system monitor, the tool name. Correct? Yeah, automatically here enabled, right? So here it shows enabled. So right, we can see any information from applications. once you install GUI. If there is no GUI for this information, so we have a commands. Just run command, we'll get the same details. So process owned by which user, CPU usage, memory usage, everything. A particular processor usage, we can get information, or we can see all process information. Okay, so tomorrow we'll see booting process, and once again architecture, operating system architecture in depth. Just given this small introduction about the operating structure. Okay, so booting process and operating system architecture tomorrow we'll see. So we have a class tomorrow. We have not every Saturday, so first Saturday. So from next Saturday onwards, so we have assignments, so workshop.